15th of March, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Rabbi, you're muted.
There we go. Welcome back. Okay, so good morning, Phil.
Hello.
Good morning, Phil.
Okay, so what did we do over here? Yeah, okay. We're on 91B, and we are up to, we'll consider that last section that we did done with Rabbi Kiva and the now we're going to go to the next section. And this section starts with a question. It says over here, Ve'ein adam rashai l'chabel ba'atzmo. Where is that? That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth line down from the top of page 91B. Okay, we're going to start from there. And where would you like to start off the reading today? 91B.
Adam, Ba'atzmo. And is a person indeed not permitted to wound himself? Vatanya, why it was taught in a Braisa, Yachol Nashba Lahare Ba'atzmo V'lo Hare. It could be thought that if one swore to harm himself, and he did not harm himself, Yahei Pashut, that he would be exempt. Talmud Lama Lahara or Lahativ. Scripture therefore states to do bad or to do good. And this teaches us that Ma Hatava Rishut, do good, refers to optional matters. Afhara Rishus, so too the oath of utterance to do bad refers to optional matters. Ovi Nishba Lahare Ba'atzmo V'lo Hare. Thus I thus include one who swore to harm himself and he did not harm himself. And we see from this Baraisa, says the Art Scroll, that a person has the right to wound himself. Well, do we see this?
How do we see this?
Do we see this? Got a question mark there.
What, sorry, do we see this with a question mark?
It's got the Art Scroll says, we see from this Baraita that a person has the right to wound himself. And that's followed by a question mark.
Oh, okay. So in other words, that's the derech of the Gemora. In other words, the Gemora is saying, is this so that we see it?
Right.
But what I'd like to know is, yes, I would like to know how it is that we see this. I don't understand this proof at all. where is the proof from this pasuk? It's totally unclear.
But I think if we read the next 4 lines, the Gemara answers. Omar Shmuel said.
Okay,
That
you want to go on? All right.
The phrase harm himself, the Bryce refers to where he said, I will engage in a fast.
Okay. I think we're getting deeper and deeper in hot water over here. I got no idea what's going on. The Gemora asked the question over here. Let's start like this. The Gemora said, is it so? We just got through concluding with the whole episode with Rebbe Kiva that even though it's permissible for a person to do something which brings shame and embarrassment upon himself, but he is not allowed to physically do damage to himself or to injure himself. That's how we came out in the previous section with Rebbe Kiva and the whole business over there with the woman and the hair covering and all of that. Now the Gemara picks up on that point and is challenging it. So the Gemara brings this brisa with this pasuk as a challenge. So somewhere in this brisa, there is a indication that a person would not be allowed. Rather, there is an indication that a person would, yes, be allowed to not that he would want to do so, but whatever. The Gemara wants to know, halakhically speaking, is it permissible? So the Gemara is bringing a proof from this brisa that it in fact will be permissible for a person to bodily injure himself. And the question is, where from the words of the Gemara do we see that is so, that it's permitted? Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any Rashi over here either. Oh, no, actually there is a Rashi. Okay, I see the Rashi. El afilu achovel ba'atzmo. Oh, so maybe we'll allow Phil to read this Rashi over here. Maybe Rashi will help us out.
To unmute. Afilu afe api hachovel atzmo. Rather, even according to the one who wounds himself. Chavala mamash. It's a real wound. The Ein Rashai. Well, because he doesn't have permission to do that. The Iko Lamemer, there is to say in it, well, since Umakalkel, who that he damaged himself, the Ein Makbid low, because he's not particular about it. Lo Nechayavo. You shouldn't make chayav others on him. Afalpi hu chayav, and even though they would be, I don't know what it says. Afalpi hu said he chayavin. That's a plural though.
Afilu chayavin. They would be liable for injuring him, even though he's not for whatever reason, he's a bit of a.
It's the question of if he injures himself, even though if he would injure, basically saying more or less, even if he would injure himself, the question is he shouldn't be. He's not going to be chayav. However, if they do it, even though he would have been willing to do it himself, and he shows that he didn't care that he gets wounded by himself, other people doing it would be chayav on wounding him.
Yeah. Okay. So that was going on. That doesn't seem to afilu achova ba'atzmo.
Looks like it's the phrase is covering the whole paragraph.
What my problem is I don't see where the heading that Rashi is making his comment on appears in what we just read.
In the Gemara, yeah.
It's putting some words together. There is an Ella, and then there is he
Where's
wounds
the
himself. Afilu chavala.
Oh, you know why? Because that was there was the previous section with Rebbe Kiva.
Mm.
That's, we
Right.
we never actually read that Rashi.
Right, Rabbi Akiva that brought before.
So that's what we said before. El afilu chavala. Even in that case, the ein adam rishai lechabel b'atzmo. He's not allowed to do that to himself. Nevertheless, acherim shechavlu bo chayovim. Others, if others would do so to him, they would be liable. And that's what Rashi's just explaining the what we might have thought, and then why we need the Brisa to tell us otherwise, that people will be liable, even though he himself doesn't appear to be particular, because we see that he does that to himself. He injures himself. So one might argue that other people should not be liable because they're doing something to him that he himself doesn't care about. On that, we say no, that even though he does that, but nevertheless, it's if they're going to do it, they're going to be liable. But we come out according to that section that it would not have, it's not permissible for the person to do that to himself. And so on that, our Gemora today is challenging from this. This is a brisa in Shavuos over here. Yochel nishba lahara. We would have thought that a person who makes a shvua laharaba atzmo, to do ra to himself, below hara, and he did not end up doing that, yehe patur. He would be exempt from a having to bring a korban for violating his shvua, because he made a shvua, in other words, that he was going to do ra to himself, and he ended up not fulfilling his shvua. So we would have thought that he would be exempt on having to bring a korban in that case, because you're not allowed, presumably. And if you're not allowed to do that, so then the shvua has already been preceded by the Torah. The Torah says you're not allowed, so he can't make a shvua to say that he's going to do what the Torah says they're not allowed to do. On that, we say, Talmud Lomar, no, it says lahara o lahetiv. If he makes a shvua, either lahara o lahetiv. Mahatava, just like if he did something, a good thing, he made a shvua to do a good thing, rishus, he's got permission surely to do that. Afhara, so we would have thought to say that also if he made a shvua in regard to doing something that's evil, rishus, it's also regarded as a rishus. And therefore, avi nishba lahara ba'atzmo v'lo hara. What was that all about? Oh. Okay, so now let's read the Rashi, the next Rashi. Mahatava rishus. That's the Rashi that we just read from the Gemora. Mahatava rishus. Phil, please.
Mahatava rishus. What good is it that he can do it? the Shvuot, in Shvuot stuff, Chav Zayin Amar Aleph, it says, Lefaresh explains Lekra of a pasuk, the low mitukam ela b'davar harishut. No, it's not something. Basically, it's not something that's Uraisa, or something like that. It's only something that he has permission to do. It's a davar reshut. That's what they're saying. It's not established. It's only something that he has a permission to do, but it's not something he has to do.
Well, the point over here is that he has permission to do the thing, and therefore he can make a shvua. That's what the subject of the pasuk is talking about, to make a shvua in regard to something which is lahara or lahetiv. And we're saying that thing which he is doing is the pasuk is only talking about something that he has a permission to do, as opposed to something which he would not have any permission to do. If he would not have permission to do it, so then the shvua cannot be chal. It wouldn't be effective, because that's what the Gemora says over there. He's already mushva v'omid b'Har Sinai. He's already been commanded and sweared in, so to speak, that he's going to, from Har Sinai, that he's going to observe the Torah and therefore not do the following thing. So if he would make a shvua in regard to saying, I'm making a shvua that he's going to do eat the meat and milk, let's say. So that shvua would not be chal. It wouldn't be effective. It would not be an effective shvua that he was required to observe. He has an obligation to fulfill the substance of what the shvua that he's making a shvua about to do. And if he doesn't do so, there's a korban that he has to bring for being in violation of the words of the shvua that he took upon himself. But if he's making a shvua to do something that the Torah forbids, so then he can't. So then there won't be any korban, because the shvua itself was never chal, was never effective, because you can't make a shvua to do something that the Torah already swore you in and commanded you to not do. But here, what we're saying is that we're making a hekesh, really, a legal comparison between what it says in the pasuk. These are the words of the pasuk, lahara o lahetiv. To do, he makes the shvua to do bad or to do good. So the brisa is inferring that just like to do something is good is certainly a reshus, so too this what the pasuk mentions, lahara, to do something which is evil, so such as to injure himself, that would qualify presumably to be something that is regarded as evil. He would have the reshus. He would have the reshus to do it. Right. So in other words, that's what the Gemora, that's what the Brisa says over here. Yochel, I would have thought to say, Nishbala hara ba'atzmo, if he made a shavua to do evil to himself, meaning to cause himself bodily injury, below hara, and he ended up not fulfilling his shvua, he didn't bodily injure himself, yehi patur, that he would be exempt from being in violation of that shvua, which said that he making a shvua to do something to injure himself. We would have thought that he would be exempt because such a shvua he could not make, so he wouldn't be chayiv on the korban. On that, the Gemora says, Talmud Lomar, comes the Brisa to tell us that that the pasuk is saying when he makes a shvua, whether in regard to lahara or lahetiv. And just like lahetiv is a permission that he can do, and so too hara would be a permission that he could do. And so there, the Gemara, the Brisa concludes, Avi nishba lahara ba'atzmo below hara. Okay. Okay, fine. So what's this last sentence over here? So therefore, the Gemara is saying that yes, he would be liable. He would be liable if he didn't do that, because it's talking about something that the Torah does not prohibit him. Okay, so that's where we're holding at that point. And now we go to what Shmuel says. Amar Shmuel. So we read, let's read it again. So now I think we'll be able to understand what Shmuel says over here. Alan, you want to read that again? Amar Shmuel?
Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said, Eshev B'sas Yunis, the phrase harm himself, and the Brisa refers to where he said, I will engage in a fast.
Right. So in other words, what the Gemara is answering is that true, the Brisa is saying that there is something which we would categorize as being lahara, to do evil to himself, which if he would violate the shvur that says that he should do something evil to himself, he'd have to bring a korban, and he wouldn't be exempt. And the Gemara wanted to suggest that hara, that evil thing that he's doing to himself, is to injure himself bodily. On that, the Gemara, on that, Shmuel says, no, that's not what the Brisa is talking about. That's something that's a permissible thing to do. No, the Gemara, the Brisa is just talking about that when he said he's going to do something evil to himself, that was referring to he's going to have a tainus. He's going to fast. He's going to have a fast day. That's what the doing something evil to yourself refers to. And therefore what? And therefore we can say no. Yes, in fact, it is a Torah violation for a person to wound himself, to injure himself bodily. That for sure is but what the Brisa is talking about, to do evil to himself, is something which is not a Torah violation. It's regarded as doing evil to himself, but it is not a Torah violation if a person wants to make a fast day for himself. He is allowed to do so. And so therefore, if he does make that shvua that he's going to do a fast and he doesn't fulfill his word, he would be liable for a korban. Okay. So that's the Gemara's answer. And now we go to the Gemara's next step. Dakvasa, Roy, would you like to read?
Okay, with my
See the place?
small. No, I've got.
First word in the line is Eshev Batanis.
I said, Shmuel said, Omar Shmuel. That's right. Eshev Batanis. The phrase harm himself is where he said he will engage in a fast. Right. Devosa the Bay Haraas Aharim. That is so, that by harming himself, the Brisa refers to an act to engage in a fast, then the Brisa's parallel case regarding harming others, Bahashava, Batanis, would have to mean engaging them in a fast. Acharim, me, Nasif, Rahu, Batanya, but can one but can one engage others in a fast? Ain, yes, he can, is a Gemora. I've got 2 dots. Ain. Is it supposed to be 1 dot?
Doesn't make sense. Ain means no, can't be done, and
Yeah,
means yes in Aramaic.
Yeah, yes, it must be yes. No, okay. Anyway, dim hadek lahu in the runa, for he can lock them up in a room without food. The Gemara rejects that answer. The house for Tanya, it was taught in a different section of that same brisa. Ezahu harayas acharim. What is an example of an oath to harm others? Eke baluni. I will strike so and so. Vete es macho, and I will split his skull. Oh.
What are we talking about over here? I don't understand this.
Anyway, the art scroll puts in here, the first part of the brisa must therefore be referring to a physical injury. Thus, we learn from the brisa that it's permitted for one to physically wound himself in contradiction to our Mishnah. The Gemara concedes the point and offers a different answer. Do I go on?
Okay. Let's not
uh,
understand a little bit more.
Ela Tanai, rather it is a dispute of the Tanaim, Be'ika, Leman, Rama, Ein Adam, Rashai, Lachbo, Be'atzmo. For there is one Tana who says, according to Rav Akiva, that a person is not permitted to wound himself. The Ikar Main, the Amar Adam Rashi, Lechavo, Ba'atzmo. And there's another Tana who says, according to Rav Akiva, that a person is permitted to wound himself.
Okay, so it comes out from this Gemora, what we're saying over here, that there is a machlokes tanoim over here. There is a dispute between tanoim on this, whether or not a person is allowed to cause bodily injury to himself. In other words, our Mishnah, the Gemara is maintaining, holds like the way we originally explained, that Rabbi Akiva said that a person is he's not allowed to do that to himself. Only to embarrass himself he's allowed, but bodily injury is usher. That's what we said over there, according to Rabbi Akiva, that what comes out from our Mishnah. But over here, the Gemara has brought a source that it is permissible. And that's what the Gemora is saying over here, where there's no way to reconcile this brisa with what our Mishnah says, and therefore we must conclude that it is a tanoi. It is a machlekes amongst the tanoim. So the only thing that leaves to be addressed now is exactly where it is that we see that that this brisa that was brought holds that it is permissible for a person to physically injure himself. That was so. Let's try to understand that over here. When the Gemora, after Shmuel dismissed the proof that the Gemora adduced from the first brisa in Shavuos about lahara or lahetiv, the Gemora then brought it seemed that the Gemara brought a just trying to figure out, is this another brisa that the Gemara brought, or is this a different interpretation of that same brisa? We need to say that the brisa.
The art scroll is saying it's a different section of the same brisa.
Okay, very good. So in other words, the way that we the way that we now are answering according to Shmuel, the first part of the brisa, we don't have any proof that it's permissible. But now the Gemara is going to bring over here a different part of this same brisa. So I guess the words of the Dakvasa is already the beginning of the brisa, perhaps. And it says, Lagabe haras acherim, in regard to doing evil to others. Not, but in regard to doing evil to others. Lahashivam, betanis. Acherim mi mosiv lahu. Betanisa. Ein the mahadek lahu beindura. Wow. I have in other words, similarly, we find that this brisa was talking about doing evil to others. So that would come out that if he made a shavua, that he's going to do evil to others, and he did not do so, what would be the din? He'd be putter, because he doesn't. He'd be putter on that because he certainly doesn't have the halakhic permission to do evil to others. And therefore, if we apply that to what Shmuel said about the person says he himself is going to do evil to himself by making a tanis for himself, it would mean that he's going to lahashivam, to cause others to convene a tanis. Okay. On that, the Gemara says, 1 second, acherim mi mosiv luhu betanisa. How is it that one person has the ability to cause another person to make a tanis? Each person has to decide for himself. He can't force somebody else to make a tanis. He's gonna say, what's he gonna say? You have to make a tanis, and he'll say, no, not me. I'm going to McDonald's now. So the Gemara says, in, yes, he is. He does. Over here, the word in means yes. It's an Aramaic word. It means yes. On the contrary, he is able to do it. How is he able to do it? Like we said, the mahadek lahu be'indura. He'll lock him up in a room, and there won't be any food in the room, and he won't give him any food, and so therefore that person is going to have a time. I can cause him to make a tanis. Fine. And therefore what? Wow, this Gemara is not so easy to understand. Therefore what? Okay, then the Gemara goes on to the next step. Not sure exactly what the Gemara accomplished whatsoever in the previous step. Now the Gemara goes on to the step and brings another brisa. Whether it's the same brisa, I do not know. But
It's the same one.
yeah, okay. The Gemara says v'hasanya. Ezehu haras acherim. What is defined as doing evil to others? Akaploni ve'epsa esmocho. So he says he's going to beat up Ploni, and he's going to do evil to him. Split his epsa esmocho. Mocho is his brain, and epsa is to cause split it, whatever. Okay, so and so therefore. In other words, what we're saying over here is that we see from the Gemara specifically that what we mean when we say to do evil over here in the Brisa, we don't mean simply that he's going to do evil by causing him to make a fast. That's not the evil that we're talking about. We're talking about the evil of causing bodily injury to another person. So now, if that is so, so then presumably we have refuted Shmuel. No, Shmuel said that the Brisa is talking just about the evil that he's doing to himself, the evil that he's doing to others is referring to tanis. That's permissible to make a fast for oneself. It's permissible. But now the Gemara is introducing from another section of the same Brisa that the intent of the Brisa in what it means when it says lahara is no, it's not talking about a fast. It's talking about doing bodily injury, like we see over here in the section of the Brisa that talks about haras lacherim, referred to as haras lacherim, causing evil to others, and the Gemara brings the Brisa brings a case where he's talking about doing a serious bodily evil and injury to another person. So then if we go back to the words of the Brisa that we originally said, lahara ba'atzmo, that he made a shvua that he's going to do evil to himself. So what type of evil is that referring to? That would be the evil that's comparable to the evil that the Brisa specifically said in regard to doing evil to others. Just like over there with others, it's referring to bodily injury. So too, when the person in the Brisa, when he says this non-specific expression of doing evil to himself, what is that evil that he's doing to himself? We would explain that it's the same type of evil, which means to do bodily injury to himself. And from there, we're deriving that the Brisa is saying that it is a reshus, because he would in fact be liable on the korban. That's the implication of the brisa. So if so, it comes out from the Tana of this brisa, that the Tana of this brisa holds that it would be permissible according to the Torah to do bodily injury to oneself.
Okay. Time now. Take care. Be well.
Okay, we did it. Yasher koyach to everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And we'll see you tomorrow on the Tinus. Yes, yeah, like
Yes.
regular schedule is a Tinus, a regular schedule. Okay,
Okay. Thank you. Bye for now.
all the best.
Bye. Good day.
Bye, Alan.
Good day. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye, Phil. All the best.
Take care. Bye-bye.